Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Today, once again, we are talking about something that makes me very happy, makes me laugh, and occasionally makes me cry, but in a good way. And it is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien, the novel. We are joined here today with none other than Princess Rennie.
Hey, Teresa, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I love talking Tolkien. I always kind of discover new things about him, and I look forward to reading the letters to kind of help with some clarification, but I just have such a passion for this stuff.
Yay, I love it, and that's what makes it so much fun. And then we have the man, the legend, the Viking, all the way from Norway, Stig Kenobi.
Hi. Sorry. Hello there.
There we go. That's for the ladies.
Yes, I dedicate that one to Toriel. She couldn't be here today because StreamYard's acting up.
Yeah, we're hoping
We
it might
love you, Lady Toriel.
Yeah, we're hoping it'll get fixed up so she can join us. And everyone's saying hi to each other. We have the animals representing Snortopupus Cuber. We have the elves, Lady Toriel. We have Godly or Gadfly fiction saying some Latin for me. Salve Domina. Sorry. Yes, salve back to you. I'm thinking Domino. I am terrible at Latin unless I'm memorizing it. And Keck 44, thank you once as always. And I think we already said we have the elves representing. We have elves and polar bears. We have Lady Toriel herself. And sort of Pupus Kuber, the polar bear, says, you mean from East Sweden or North Denmark?
No, he doesn't mean that, because if he thinks that, then he's a retard.
Come on, Steve.
The opinions and expressions of people that are guests on Miss Martin Muses do not necessarily reflect. Nah, it doesn't matter. No one cares because I'm not monetized. Maybe I will one day. And
I love that disclaimer, Teresa.
And we got Keck 44 modding for us. Thank you so much, Keck. Really appreciate it. I think I got everyone. Yeah, if I missed anyone, please let me know. Oh, well, we just got someone joining us, Bobby Campbell, aka The Oracle. Hello, welcome. He says tomorrow is Halloween. It is.
Well, you don't have to be an oracle to know that, though.
Wow. That is true. You can just look at a calendar. Yes, it is Halloween, All Hallows Eve. I'm looking forward to it because it's a good time because we get to party a lot. It doesn't just stop with Halloween because Halloween is the night before All Saints Day. So we party all day on All Saints Day. And then you have November 2nd, where you all go to like graveyards and stuff. And if you are in a place with a high Hispanic population, especially Mexican, you get the Day of the Dead, the Day of the Dead. Good times, partying, food, all sorts of good stuff. So
we have nothing. It's just regular days.
You have Thor's Day.
Yeah, you have the Northern Lights.
Oh yeah,
not yet.
Sandra.
Yes, hello, Sandra. Welcome. Oh, it looks like an elf is here. I hope it's working. Hello.
Hello. Is it working?
Hi. Yes.
Yeah.
Yay, it's working. Yay.
Loud and clear.
We have Lady Toriel, the elf herself, all the way from Mirkwood.
No.
or Rivendell or wherever she was.
She's a wood elf. She's from Mirkwood. Learn your lore.
Okay, I did say Mirkwood first, didn't I? I said all the way from Mirkwood.
You did. I heard you.
Screw you, Steve. Okay. Hello, Lady Toriel. We have all the way from across the pond, Shayla Nolan. Thank you. How you doing today, lady?
Shane.
How's Legolas?
Good. I guess I'm out in the ozone. Hopefully it holds.
She's using the hole in the ozone layer to broadcast her messages.
That's my
why
problem.
we love you.
Now, that's why I figured it out now. That's it. The ozone is the whole problem there.
Yeah.
There you go.
You need to, you know what I learned back in the 90s because of that? if you want a bigger hole in the ozone layer, you should take like a deodorant and spray it up towards the sky
Yep.
because that's what's causing it,
And
according to the 90s.
and aerosol hairspray. What was it? Aquanet that was a big offender.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just decided to throw out a banner question. When, how did you learn first read Lord of the Rings? That's for our chat. We've already asked that of the panel, but we want to hear from you in the chat. When, how did you first read the Lord of the Rings? So there must be a national. Okay, I'm going to put this up here because I'm not sure I can read this correctly. There must be a national Luke Fisk Day.
Where did you get the K from? There's no K in it.
What?
Fisk, Fisk.
Yeah. Lutefisk.
Oh, how's it supposed to be spelled, Steve?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you said K. Anyway.
Well, there's a K in there. It says Lutefisk.
Yes, but you said the T was K. Anyway, he spelled it right. It's a thing we eat in Norway. Fisk means fish. So it's yeah, I don't like it. Tastes like shit.
Okay.
Oh.
And as always, whenever we have anything of Norwegian origin, Stig is the absolute authority, especially when it comes to pronunciation.
You know what happened last year? Some guy from Minnesota blew up on me saying I didn't know anything about Norway and Viking stuff because he had studied it and his family had celebrated Norwegian holidays because somewhere in the past, someone was from Norway in, their bloodline. And when I pointed out, hey, I've grown up in Norway. I live in Norway. I do know this. And he went nuts, really nuts.
Are you serious? I mean, like, you live there. Wouldn't you know better than those of us that are just reading a book? I mean, come on.
Yes, exactly. But when I basically let him just go on for a while, and I said, well, I'm born and raised in Norway. I'm in Norway right now. And so I would know. And he lost his shit royally.
Yes, I remember that. And I remember saying that about 1,100 years ago, a Viking shagged, possibly raped one of my ancestors. So, of course, that means I know everything about Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Go, girl.
Well, of course, Teresa. You're an expert. Yeah.
Yes, Steve can remark on my amazing pronunciation of the language.
Well, I have heard worse.
Oh, there we go. That's very kind of you.
That's a compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, we have Shane Nolan saying about 20-something years ago. Oh, wow. So that's when he first learned about first read The Lord of the Rings. Excellent.
Nice.
Keck 44 says junior high.
I'm willing to bet Shane probably picked it up when the movies came out.
Oh, it's possible. Was that the context or was it another one? Shane, let us know in the chat.
Because it's 20 years ago, isn't it, that the trilogy happened?
Yeah, Fellowship, 2001. Sorry, Teresa.
Oh, we need to have like a big thing for the 20th anniversary in December of the movies. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be fun.
For the panel. How does that make you feel to know that those are 20 years old?
Old?
Yeah. Well, but the weird thing is, I don't know about you guys, but like a couple weeks ago, like after we had one of our discussions, I'm like, that's it, screw it, I'm watching the trilogy, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm watching these movies, they don't feel that old. I mean, they really were ahead of their time. The effects were amazing. Like, this is a timeless story, right? Because it's not set in present day America or anything like that. So it's not like time has affected it for me. And I think it's really cool that it just doesn't seem to age. I don't know. How do you guys feel
excellent.
about it?
Well, Shane Nolan is answering. He says, yes, after the Fellowship, he had to find out what happened next. That is superb. Yes. Isn't that fun to know that you're like, what happens next? And then you go, oh my gosh,
See?
I just need to go to the store.
I was
Yeah.
right again. I was right again. Anyway, as for the movies making me feel old because it's 20 years ago, I kind of thought immediately, yeah, damn, 20 years ago, I'm feeling old. But then I realized I'm the youngest one on the panel, so it's not so bad.
I will cut you.
Oh, he's only the youngest by like a few years, like a year or two.
I think it's like a year. Yeah.
A year or two can be a trilogy.
Sort of Poopus Cuber says, my grade school assigned The Hobbit to read, and the Merbet bought The Lord of the Rings by mistake. Bless her. So
Oh.
I read that too, sometime before your sun burned in hot in space. I said Merber, yes. So there we go.
Yay.
And Sandra says, I read them back in high school, back in the dark ages. Gadfly Fiction says it was a mid-90s sometime. I was in second grade, so it was 94. Didn't really grasp anything about it, but loved it ever since. Well, that is excellent. That is most excellent.
Awesome.
And yeah, we love the chat here at Miss Martin Muses, and especially our chat for these book discussions. They are on fire. You all are awesome.
The chat is a group of most excellent and admirable hobbits.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can tell they're real fans because they'll like put some references in there and be like, well, actually, I remember the book going this way. It's like, oh, dang, you're right.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Which is the way it should be, because it's not an attack on us if you correct us. It's participation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know about
us.
you guys, but I forget about a detail here and there sometimes. So yeah, totally.
I don't, but
shut up.
Oh,
Oh my Lord.
Remember that
okay,
beer
kids.
bottle discussion?
All right, we are on chapter 3 of the Two Towers. We are on chapter 3 of the Two Towers. This is when we get the perspective from Merry and Pippin.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. One thing that immediately popped out as I was rereading this chapter is that Merry, as he was trying to fight off the orcs, Merry had cut off several of their arms and hands. And the text says, good old Merry. Holy crap, Merry was a beast.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He was a total badass for a little bit. I mean, he's a little dude, but he didn't care. That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of focus was on Boromir in the movie and in the text, even because, of course, Boromir was badass. But man, Merry just being this little hobbit, not having any success or hope of success, he was able to cut off, as I said, several arms and hands.
And other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would be the right height for that, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Lady Toriel.
Well, it's funny because it's true, but
I know.
You do what you can. You do what
she sounded so cocksure when she said it too.
She was a bit cocky.
I couldn't resist. I had to get in there before Steve did,
I know, my head went there and I was like, I'm gonna be good.
Your head went there, phrasing?
You know it.
Oh no.
Jesus.
Okay.
And here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this then kicks off what is a hellish chapter for the hobbits. I was really struck by the living hell that they went through. Lady Toriel, what's your thoughts on what Merry and Pippin went through during this chapter?
Well, I think Merry, no puns intended, kept his head about him because he was dropping, fragments of the cloak, and he dropped his leaf to leave signs. And of course, Pippin was hurt. So, and he didn't know if Pippin was dead or alive, which I think takes a lot of thought that he had faith that the fellowship would come looking for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that he had a sense of hope even then, and he wasn't going to quite give up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rennie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. It's kind of a heart-wrenching chapter because if you know, when you're reading the books, like they kind of touched on it on the extended version a little bit. With the whole like Pippin not feeling good thing, but like they really, you really kind of feel it in the book because they're just nasty to these little hobbits. And yes, they have to keep them quote unquote alive and unspoiled. But not only do you have some that are trying to eat them, they just kind of try to like kind of beat up on them a little bit, or like, it's like, hey, I'm in pain. Hey, shut up. We're on a mission. It's just awful. And they even talk about like kind of hints at the fact that it's painful to even ride on the back of these urukai.
Mm-hmm.
And you just feel for these little guys.
Yes. It says here in the chapter, Mary, who is lying close by, was kicked by the Iroquois. Mary groaned, and then seizing him roughly, Uglik pulled him into a sitting position and tore the bandage off his head. Then he smeared the wound with some dark stuff.
Ugh.
Mary cried out and struggled wildly. Yikes.
Just awful.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve, what do you think?
They're getting roughed up. The Urukai don't treat their prisoners well. Devil's advocate, though, given what the damage Mary did to them, right, when they captured him, they would be a bit pissed at him.
Good point.
And isn't this the chapter where they give them the drought that tastes like shit?
It's basically, isn't it the blood of men or something like that they drink to make them strong? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was some burning liquid.
Yeah, and he's gagging from it and all that. But here's the thing: it works. It gives some energy, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
And the stuff that gets smeared on his wound, on his head wound, also works, which means the orcs aren't completely, in the Stone Age. They actually have their own medicine.
Well, but they were elves, at one time, right?
Yeah,
so
at one time,
I feel like they still kind of have that magic of the earth thing, but in a dark way. That's kind of how I view them.
Yeah. So it actually shows that there is something to be said for orc culture too. It's brutal and almost feral, right? But they do have medicine, which means they also have to take care of their own somehow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And easy thing to miss, I guess, because I just thought about it.
Yeah, because you're never sympathetic to the enemy, right? You're just like, oh, gross.
Yeah. Speaking of gross, Matt Wilkins is in the chat.
I was about ready to say, speaking of never being nice to the enemy. Matt, I told on you what you said about Stieg yesterday during my chat when he was gone.
What was it he said?
He said that I'm too classy to have a low life like you on my channel.
Yeah. Even though he actually sent me an email the other day asking if I wanted to come on his chat.
Oh, he's telling stories. Well, why didn't you go on?
I was in bed. And I was like, I'm not getting out of bed for this guy.
Oh, well, I would get out of bed for Wilkins.
Yeah, I was going to sleep. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And I guess if I'd listened to Matt, I would have fallen asleep faster.
Oh!
Waka waka. Oh my goodness. And Mayor McCheese is in the chat as well.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. Matt, I'm not going to call you out, but if you would be on Twitter, it would be so much easier to communicate sometimes. But it's okay. I'm done calling you out because we love Matt Wilkins here. Matt is awesome. And even though Stieg has a bad attitude.
Well, he started it.
That's true. Okay. So,
hi, Sherry.
Luffy is God says the Urkai have just been created, so it's impressive they have developed medicine already.
Yes, and you know what? This is a little pet peeve I have with the movies, because when one of them chops the head off one of the orcs and says meat's back on the menu, I'm like, how do you know what a menu is?
Yeah.
You know,
Ooh.
you were like born yesterday, and I don't see any orc restaurants.
I mean, that's a good call out. Table for one, sir.
Yeah,
Could you imagine
Well, I
them
think
serving at a restaurant?
I think
Oh.
also too that why they treated the hobbits so bad was they were used to eating their prisoners, and they knew
Yeah.
they couldn't, so they're taking all their frustrations out on them as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
good
that's a good
point.
point.
Yeah. Yes. We're like, sorry, you guys are cracking me up in the chat. You guys are fun. It's good. And as they're continue on it, there's just to make us all have our hearts break just a little bit. As they are going on, Tolkien writes, neither Pippin nor Merry remembered much of the later part of the journey. Evil dreams and evil waking were blended into a long tunnel of misery, with hope growing ever farther, fainter behind. And if they halted or stumbled, they were seized and dragged for some distance. That struck me with some real horror and made me think, was this something that Tolkien, or rather his friends or his comrades, experienced during World War One? Because when you were a prisoner of war, in many cases, you were treated like complete garbage like that, and the torturous death marches they would make you do.
Yeah, because
also
Merry and Pippin were
sounds
basically prisoners of war. I mean, that's a good reference.
it also sounds like they might have been drugged.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah,
with
to
the
kind of keep
nightmares.
them under. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I kind of always thought that they were under a spell, or they were knocking them about so much that they were either always just kind of like in a daze, or they drugged them, or it could have been the blood or whatever they were drinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just the psychological effect of this torture. And of course,
Yeah.
it just occurred to me that since this was written after World War II, that could also have played a role in it as well. When you
actually
think
not. Tolkien said there's no allegories in there.
oh, for sure, absolutely. There's no allegories, but sometimes there's applicability in it.
Yeah,
That I'm just saying that the way that he was able to describe it so vividly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, and
it,
you're
it actually means that Tolkien probably captured someone at some point, tortured them, and dragged them around, so he knew what that would look like.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, I thought that it was really cool how, as they're going along, when the Rohirrim start to find them and how they start to pick them off. I thought that was badass.
Yes, that's fun. That part's fun. It's like, yes, the good guys arrive. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you see the Iroquois, they're starting to lose their crap.
I mean, you don't quite know that they're the good guys if you're not paying too much attention, but it's just like, you know, the enemy of the enemy is my friend, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do hear about Rohan in the first book, but not much. It's like, yeah, we need to pass through Rohan and stuff.
The Gap
like
of
that.
Rohan.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. So we're basically being slowly introduced to a new culture. Technically, we're a little bit introduced to the orc culture as well in this chapter, right?
Yeah, I feel like it.
Yeah.
It's more like Urukai. I feel like the kind of hybrid orcs or the upgraded orcs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then you get that famous line from the movie. They're taking they're taking them to Isengard. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Well, and as they continue to go, they also are starting to turn on each other as they're getting more paranoid and more afraid. And Mary then deceives them by acting like he knows something about the ring, or rather, he starts to go like, Gollum, Gollum, and find it. You're not going to find it. So they start to go, what? Huh? And then he messes with their minds. I thought that was really clever of Mary.
Yes.
And risky,
Well, yeah.
because they did torture Gollum.
Yeah. Yeah, they
And,
did.
They could have tortured Mary, but
Yeah.
I guess they didn't have time too. But
Yes.
that one could have backfired royally if they had taken him to Isengard.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
also think at that point that they figured they had nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where my head went with that, because it's kind of like if you get, kidnapped and you don't at least struggle and, try to get your freedom, then, you can't say you tried. At least they're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't totally given up.
Yeah.
Mary is actually a hell of a badass in this in several ways, because that's a tough little bastard.
He really is.
I know. I love these hobbits. They're so much fun. Shane Nolan says Saruman appears to have been using magic or something to make them faster, unusually fast. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. I
Yes.
believe they said something kind of like
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
It's mentioned in the movies too.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's always an undercurrent that something of the supernatural is playing a role in all of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that what Legolas says, that they're moving as if the whips of their masters were behind them?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, Mayor McCheese is saying hello. Hello, Mayor McCheese.
Hello.
Hey, Mayor McCheese.
Yes. And then it all finally ends up in this big massacre of the orcs, and the hobbits kind of slip away.
Yeah, which is a big mistake in the movie. Because Mary, Pippin is he's tied up and he's crawling to get cut the ropes.
Mhm.
Then a horse almost steps on him and he's waving both hands out wide and screaming. And then later, he crawls away from that and cuts his ropes.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So the ropes were on him, then not, and then on him again.
A movie goof, so to speak.
That's a proper goof.
Yeah. It's the editing. Blame the editors.
Yeah.
Well, and you gotta love the Rohirrim. After they were all done doing to them what they were doing, they then laid their fallen comrades in a mound and had sung their praises. The riders made a great fire and scattered the ashes of their enemies. Yay!
Yay.
I
Well,
love the
it's-
Rohirrim culture. The Rohan.
Oh my gosh,
Eomer
yes.
was Eomer involved
Yeah.
with
Yes,
this in
yes,
the
he was
book?
in.
I
Oh.
thought so, because he was with the writers, and even though the first chapter, the chapter before this happens after this whole thing, I thought, I could be wrong. He was part of that. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Aemir was the one who killed the last dude, the Ugluk. There he was slain at last by Aemir, the third marshal of the Mark, who dismounted
Yeah.
and fought him sword to sword.
Boosh.
Yeah,
Badass.
they changed a lot of that stuff in the movie. They switched things around with Eomer, and because you don't have Erkenbrand in there.
Oh yeah.
Eomer takes his, because Eomer is at Helm's Deep in the book. While in the movie he arrives with Gandalf.
Oh, that's right.
Good point. Yeah.
Mhm.
They were trying to make it all dramatic and all that. Okay, before we move on to chapter 4, any other thoughts? Any other thoughts about our little heroes?
Oof. I don't want to give away too much, but I think this is a foreshadowing of Mary's ultimate courage and strength. And he really is a little badass. I think he's amazing. It's a shame that they didn't touch on that too much in the movies, but yeah, he's very admirable, and I love the fact that they kind of hint at it in this chapter.
Also, Mary got the short end of the stick in the first movie as well, because when they're outside the gates of Moria and they figure out how to open the gate, it's Mary who figures it
Yes,
out in the book.
not
Well, in the
Frodo.
movie, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Yeah.
well said.
damn them.
Freaking Elijah Wood. No, just kidding.
Okay, excellent points, all. Lady Toriel, any last thoughts before we move on to Treebeard?
No, I think everything's been said so far.
Okay, well, let's move on to Treebeard, one of the most interesting characters. Wow. He's a wow. You do not F with this tree. That's all I got to say about that.
Oh, but don't call him a tree. That's offensive. It's so great.
Yeah.
But he looks like a tree.
Well, what about the Ents? Let's talk about some of the lore behind that.
Was it the Mire or the Valar that created the Ents? Because I remember the elves taught the trees to talk, right? In the Silmarillion, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? Since the elves taught them that, and they would have had to give them a lot of wooden dialogue.
But
Oh my gosh.
They'd be like, "What's the root of this word?" And the end goes, "Fuck you," you know.
Oh my.
No, but I love this whole idea of these ancient great trees. Even though technically they're not a tree.
Yeah.
And shout out
they're
to
the
Steve,
shepherds.
yeah, that they just start to meet him. He says he's an Ent. What's that? And then Treebeard goes off in a poem. I don't know if he's actually singing, but he does spit.
Yeah.
And Steve's like, why?
And then Pippin's like, "Shit, these people sing too."
Like, oh man.
Yeah. And they start to get to know each other. And he kind of has this home. So you get this feeling while you're reading how it sounds. I think that Tolkien does a really good job of painting that picture for us.
Also, this is something everyone could do after the stream, though. You can find Christopher Lee singing the Ent song. It was part of a CD that he and some others made, singing Tolkien songs. And yeah, he sings the Treebeard song.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, he did a lot of these and a lot of the poetry as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he talks about knowing Celeborn when he was young.
Yes.
So, yes. So we get a feeling about how ancient he is and that he knows all these old elves.
Yeah, he's really old because Celeborn, when he was young, that was ages ago, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He and Galadriel are really old.
Yeah. And that as time went on that they actually like fell asleep, for lack of a better word, and he said they need something to rouse them and they only speak in whispers. He's talking about his fellow Ents.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. Because you're like, what's tree language or what's Ent language, you know?
Mm-hmm. You know what? I just finally figured out here. Treebeard technically isn't singing; he's chanting.
Oh, that's a good way to put that.
Yeah, because I guess Wood doesn't have good vocal inflection.
Well, and
You
they're
know,
kind of like monks, aren't they? I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah, and if Threebeard had been a teacher, he'd be the nutty professor.
Okay, Shane Nolan says they were created. The Ents were created after the dwarves by the. I'm not sure who by the. He's saying here by to protect the trees by the wife and valor of the Valar that made the dwarves. An Aule. Okay.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Aule. Yep. That's the guy that made the dwarfs. I was like, wait a minute. It's been so long since I've read the Silmarillion.
Yes. And Shane Nolan says, I believe that Treebeard is the eldest living being in Middle Earth after the Maiar.
Mm.
Yeah, and Bombadil, I guess.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, because Bombadil was before all of that.
You know what? I really like what you guys said. Was it you, Teresa, or who is it that said that they thought that he was like an incarnation of Iluvatar, the ultimate being or whatever, or the all-powerful?
Oh, yes. I'm not sure it was me. It might have been someone from the chat, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, that there were
I think
several.
it was Snortopupus.
Yes.
That's a good idea because it's the only thing that makes sense for him to be around, and if he's real, that makes sense to me, you know?
And that he also played a protecting role, giving them shelter, giving them advice, giving them some weapons.
Yeah, because if he's not a supreme being, how is he able to protect them, you know?
Yeah, good point. As the hobbits start to learn more about them, he mentions the Entwives. Remember the Entwives?
Yes.
What do you think about these Entwives?
I was kind of bummed that we really didn't get to see or hear from them or whatever. I would have thought it would have been kind of interesting to see that kind of interaction. And what does a female shepherd of the forest do versus a male? I mean, is there a different role? Is there something else? Like, is she just like an Entwife? Or, I mean, I was just kind of curious as to what role they played in this, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. What do you know about those Entwives, Stieg?
Never seen them.
Well, no one hasn't even.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of it too. Is that they're a mystery, and that Treebeard himself doesn't even quite remember, but they always know that they kind of want to go find them.
Yeah, but they don't know where they are.
They lost their women.
Yeah, and they've gotten so old they don't know what they look like anymore. Poor things.
Yeah, the women ran away because the husbands had wood all the time. Sorry. You know.
You are not sorry. You are not one little sorry. Okay, I'm looking up. Yes, about the Entwives.
They kind of have that little poem that I thought was cute.
Uh-huh.
And they did a good job of including it in the movie, but if you don't read the book, you don't know. You're just like, what is Treebeard spewing on about? What is this crap? You know, it's actually the Ents versus the Entwives saying, you know, come back to me, and you know, because they lost their wives. So I thought it was cute to have it in here. It's just they didn't explain that in the movie.
Yeah, you would know. It's almost like an Easter egg. Well, Tolkien says in one of his letters, if you have the letters, it's on page 179. He says that the Entwives, I think that in fact the Entwives had disappeared for good, being destroyed with their gardens in the War of the Last Alliance in the Second Age, when Sauron pushed a scorched earth policy and burned their land against the advance of the Allies. That's what.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Also, it fits really well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I love the way that Tolkien, when he's even writing in his letters, he will say things like, I think this is what happened, because his story is very much like a living thing to him, and he always approaches it almost like a history, like, well, maybe we know, maybe we don't, but this could be referenced.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then he says, if any survived, they would indeed be far estranged from the Ents, and any rapprochement would be difficult. Yeah. So they couldn't replant them, apparently.
Oh, oh man. Me.
Those poor Ent wives. Those poor Ents. They can't get their chicks.
Yeah. Gotta walk around with wood all the time. Nothing to do.
Okay, Rennie, talk about me.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I blame Stig.
Yeah, Stig is a very bad influence on all of us.
I didn't say anything.
Right.
That's true, he didn't. It's all entirely our fault. Well, what is Luffy as God? He says, why is it Treebeard and not just beard? If he is a tree with beard in it, would it be a Moe's beard?
Oh my.
And then he said, Ent wives nag. That's why the Ent.
Oh no.
And Joaquin Stark says, hard joke to top. Oh my God. He says, blue acorns permanently. This is going straight to hell here.
Right in the gutter.
Yeah, poor Tolkien.
I think we've identified the root of the problem, and it's Rennie.
I mean, I'll take the hit. It's all good.
You mispronounced tip.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh. Okay. And all right. I don't think Tolkien says too much more about the Ent wives. I think that's basically. He does talk about the male and female attitudes to wild things, and there's an aspect of that in things like trees and plants. It used to always confuse me as a kid.
Oh yeah,
that there's a plant that does the sperming, and I don't know, I forget, what spurs would fly everywhere and land on the women plants.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? It's very different than
It's not that different.
Creatures.
Stuff flying around. I don't know about that.
Yes, you won't get fruit unless you have a male and a female, just like everything.
Yeah. Well, Snortopupuscuber says this conversation has branched into
oh my lord.
Yeah, I think we're barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, no. Okay.
Maybe we should just leave the subject alone for now.
Make like a tree and leave, Biff?
No.
Yeah. Their bark is worse than their bite. Yeah, okay.
Okay, and the last word from Tolkien on this, and this is from letter 337. Ents and their wives, being rational creatures, would find some earthly paradise until the end of this world. He says he does not see any reunion of them in quote-unquote history. So there we go.
Oh.
They're just sitting around with wood and no resolution.
Yeah.
Getting to the root of the matter. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, Teresa.
Jesus.
This is sort of. This is all nuts.
Oh my.
Liquid Blake, you came in at just the wrong moment.
You know what though? You know when in the movie when Merry and Pippin climb the tree, and it's Treebeard, they probably touched his.
Oh, tree bits.
Oh,
That
that's so wrong.
It's all
Oh,
bark. How do
no.
you know what's what? To be honest.
yeah, that's what woke him up.
Oh,
He's like, oh, hey, watch it there, fella.
Hey, the ladies are back. Oh my God. Oh.
we
He's
found
like,
the
woohoo!
wives.
I was just having
Yeah.
an exciting dream. Oh,
Oh gosh, Zach, did you say spurs are used in reduction? Giddy up!
Oh,
Wow.
little acorns. Yay.
Oh, somewhere Tolkien is spinning in his grave saying, what are these barbarians talking about?
oh.
Oh gosh, Liquid Blake. That's not a pine cone?
No, it's just a regular cone.
Oh no.
Gives a new meaning to the phrase conehead, doesn't it?
Oh.
Oh.
Well, and just remember, each ent is made out of different tree materials, so you know
And
they've
that
all.
the truth.
Oh.
So I'm sure they all look different. You know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Who are we to
Yeah.
judge? How...
Imagine someone chipping away at the bark, though, and for Threebeard going, "Stop it! You're circumcising me."
Oh no.
Like, Pippin's like, "I'm trying to make a whistle."
Oh God! Or he starts a fire.
Oh no.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Oh no. Makes me think of Chippendale and the Christmas tree. Joachim Stark says.
And Threebeard is like, "It burns when I pee." Yeah, that's because you're literally burning.
Oh my gosh! I can't stand you.
You see, we go deep into these chapters of Lord of the Rings, don't we?
Deep dive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go big or go
Threebeard
home.
actually says it. He says the roots go deep. Pearly bastard.
Oh, my stomach hurts.
Okay, Snort of Poopa says, do Ents on spree get potted? And Keck says, I'd hate to be a son of a birch.
That's
Yeah.
cute. I like that.
All right, let's bring it back to a more mature discussion. Treebeard gives us some good history of the wizards here.
Side note,
yeah.
when Threebeard got circumcised, does that mean he's Jewish?
Hey.
Oh. Lord help us.
Okay.
No.
I'm trying to get into the deep history of the wizards here. Okay.
Well, you're doing a good job, Teresa. You're doing a great job.
Okay, here we go. Quoting from the book. Saruman is a wizard. More than that, I cannot say. I do not know the great history of wizards. They appeared first after the great ships came over the sea. But if they came with the ships, I never can tell. Saruman was reckoned among them. He gave up wandering about and minding the affairs of men and elves some time ago. He settled down at Aragnost, or Isengard, as the men of Rohan call it. He was very quiet to begin with, but his fame began to grow. He was chosen to be the head of the White Council, they say, but that did not turn out too well. So there we go.
Yeah.
It's my impression that it was the Palantir that kind of corrupted Saruman.
Yeah,
over
kind of like
time.
Denethor, right?
Yes, even though it's not allegory, Saruman was the wizard who turned more towards science.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Tolkien did not like industrial things, you know, because he
No.
was very much on the side of nature. And
Yeah, he
Saruman
was.
isn't, because he's cutting down the forest too, and he's doing basically what Tolkien saw was happening to the English countryside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very well
Very
spoken.
true.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and he says that Saruman used to come and talk to Treebeard about all sorts of things and things to do with nature and the like, but he hasn't done it for a while. And then he says he is plotting to become a power. He has a mind of metal and wheels, and he does not
Yes.
care for growing
Yes.
things.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's what kind of what I was getting into, and uh, it's something I've thought about, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think with technology, right, we gain all these very useful things, but
Yeah.
maybe along the way we have lost something too, and without realizing it, and that's what also happened to Saruman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. We have lost a lot, actually.
You
If
get
you
so
stop
hungry
and
for
think about, the mechanisms
yeah.
and the Palantir, if you, I don't know, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but is an extension of the ring because it corrupts.
Yes,
Yeah. I can see that.
and I think it kind of also shows you what you want to see, which, if you think about it, the Palantir is social media
Ooh.
Ooh.
because you choose what you want to see there, right, based on what you like.
Well, I think
And
I feel like
it,
what is it? Sauron kind of can read minds and he knows what you want, so he kind
yeah,
of uses it to show you what you
Mhm.
want. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
yes,
Yes.
that's how he corrupted people with the rings.
Yeah.
And
It's kind.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, speaking of the Palantirs and the social media, I think all of us have been changed by social media, and we don't even know it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I know people that have gone to quote unquote Facebook jail, and it's the stupidest thing ever. Like, it really is. Or people that have gotten banned on Twitter
Yeah,
for,
but
saying the wrong thing. And I remember, Steve, didn't you have an account where you just signed up and they automatically banned you or something like a year ago?
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
uh,
He said been
well, I've gotten banned twice. Once was for making a private joke with Christy.
Yeah. You used like a
Um,
cuss word or something, they got mad, right?
yeah,
skanky ho.
yeah.
Yeah.
Christy had posted a link to a new reality show where
Yeah.
some 20-something-year-olds were gonna survive on an island or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
And I said
Mhm.
those skanky hosts wouldn't survive for 1 week without their for 1 day without their phone. And I
True.
got permanently, well, the account got permanently suspended for inciting violence against a protected group. That's what it
Oh
said.
my gosh.
Skanky hoes
Yeah.
are a protected group.
Yeah, and
Yes.
me
Protect the
saying they wouldn't
skanky
survive without
hose.
their phones was inciting violence. Okay, but
That's so
yeah,
stupid.
you know what though?
Hmm.
If you get banned for whatever reason from Facebook or what have you, it's a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Hmm.
Yeah. I know people that have tried to given up social media for Lent, for example, and they find within just a few days their anger level goes down tremendously, that they're not mad all the time.
Sad but
Yeah.
true. You
Yeah,
know?
that's why it's
Yes.
always good to get out and read a book like The Two Towers.
Well,
Yes.
also, if you notice, I think Rawlings kind of stole that a little bit for Harry Potter when you can make the analogy for the Mirror of Erised.
Oh yes,
Yes.
The Mere Desire.
Mm.
Yes, you see what you want to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and it can drive you mad. And one could
Hmm.
argue that's what happened with Saruman. Luffy is God said, doesn't Treebeard call Gandalf the young master? How old are the Ents and how old is Bombadil? Because Gandalf and the wizards are as old as Balrogs. Yeah. Well, for sure we know that Bombadil is older than almost all of them, and that
Yes.
the wizards are as old at minimum of when the elves came over with the ships, but they can't say whether or not they actually came over there. We do know that they're the Ishtari, which are supernatural creatures, so they're a little bit beyond what we can know from human minds.
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce Lombardo of Dick's Vision says, Miss Martin, do you have a stream elements or other form of tip payment setup?
Yeah, she has an
Oh,
Ent.
that's sweet. Hey, Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Hi,
a what, Steve?
Bruce. How are
I just-
you?
I was just making a joke about tip payment. I said you had an Ent.
Oh,
Oh no.
no, I do not. I'll tell you what. It just never occurred to me. I'm not necessarily against it per se, and it's very sweet of you, Bruce. I do appreciate that. I don't know quite how to set it up though, while still protecting my identity. I need to look into that.
Oh, that's a good
Oh, they have a tip jar thing you can put on StreamYards.
Oh, okay.
StreamYard or Streamlab?
Oh, I think it's
Don't know.
Streamlabs, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. I might look into it.
Yeah.
Into it.
I've never understood that differentiate there, because it's like you see these, what is it, Streamlab robots on the StreamYard
Yeah.
stream. It's like, okay, this is confusing. Maybe it's because I'm a boomer.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, I have enough trouble just getting on StreamYards, let alone trying to maneuver all the thing between Streamlabs and everything else.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I might look into it. To be honest, though, I'm not against money. To me, the payment I personally get is knowing that just for a few hours, maybe I've given some people out there something to enjoy, something to listen to, maybe something that can help them get through their chores, maybe incite their imagination. That's my payment. I'll never say no to money, but
that's the fun part. I think we all enjoy these because it's,
It's
I
a nice
won't say getting back,
distraction.
getting back to normal, shall we say, or
Yeah.
normal as it has been years past on Twitter and in the chats where it's not a lot of backbiting and everything else. It's just pure enjoyment.
Talking
of,
about what you enjoy instead of what you hate
yes,
or what's
great
wrong with the world.
literature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
just
I found that
great literature.
once money gets involved, that sometimes people can start pursuing the money rather than pursuing what they wanted to do. And
Yeah.
I'll be very clear. I am not against money. Don't get me wrong. I hope to get monetized one day because I would like to maybe get some money. I'm not unrealistic. I certainly know that I'm not going to get rich off of it, but it wouldn't hurt maybe to pay for a few fill-ups of my gas tank or something like that. So don't get me wrong, but I'm just really saying that for me, the payment is all of you in here and all of you that tune in and the people that say that they really do get something out of my content. And if I ever get to, and if I ever get to,
that's the best. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I ever get to travel again, to be able to share that, because Lady Toriel, you were around when I went off to Ireland that one time and was able to share all those pictures.
Oh, I love that because that's part of my heritage and I've never been.
Yeah.
And I get to live through you vicariously.
Exactly. And that's the kind of joy that I do love to bring. And speaking of the love-in, Joaquin Stark says, on the subject of Twitter, thank you, Steve and Lady Toriel, for the pictures and insights. Well, there you go.
Oh, that's sweet.
And Steve Nolan says, oh, you do you. Everyone's
Thank
saying
you.
hi. Keck says, the Istari were detuned Maiar set to contest Sauron by the Valar after the Second Age. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well said.
Yeah. And Bruce is giving a bit of a dig at Stephen Walton. I tend to not talk about people while they're not here, but then I have to refrain so hard to not talk about Arthur C. Walton and his hardwood affections. There we go. All right. Let's keep this party moving here. He.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did we lose?
We
Oh,
lost Rooney.
She said she might disappear.
Oh, yes,
one
you're right,
thing.
because she has something come up. So it was not the One Ring. Oh, wait, I lied. It was absolutely the One Ring. She got overcome with the temptation and the like. So as Treebeard is talking about all of this, he says about how much Sauron is destroying all these trees. Good trees. Some of the trees they just cut down and leave to rot. Orc mischief that, but they are hewn and carried off to feed the fires of Orthanc. There is always smoke rising from Isengard these days. And he says, curse him, root and branch. Many of these trees were my friends who I'd known from Nut and Acorn. It must stop. And then he stands up and is like, I'm going to go F them up. So it rouses him in a non-sexual way. And he says, but before I do, we have to go and have the Entmoot, which I love the Entmoot. I think it's badass. I was very disappointed that they didn't do the Entmoot in the show.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
No, they didn't, because oh wait, they did in the movie they did, but they said, "Oh, we're not going to help you. Screw you."
Oh yeah, and then they altered it.
Yeah, that sucked. Oh, hey, she took the ring off. That's good.
Yay!
See, it's not just you, Lady Toriel.
Yes, damn that ring. It gets you every time, doesn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was probably the ringtone.
Yeah. So
I like to call it my precious. No, just kidding.
Well, and though before they have the Entmoot speak to your delight, I know that they decided to sing some for a while. He sang for a few more pages, saying about the Ent
I guess it was
wives.
the Tolkien version of Woodstock.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh no. I see I didn't miss much then.
Yeah. Well, I really like the way that they described how they were having this Entmoot. Merry and Pippin caught no proper words. It sounded like boom, boom, rum, boom, barar, ba boom, daroom. And because Tolkien is such a darn good writer, when I read this the first time, I really felt like they were booming. You know, that this was just huge and booming and something
And
very...
They literally are boomers.
No, but you know what I'm trying to say? That you were really, truly feeling like you were in the presence of something ancient.
Yeah.
And intimidating. And it goes on. How long does that Entmoot go for? It goes for like
a day, right? Or half a day, something like that.
Yeah.
And they were just saying hello or something like I don't know.
Oh,
yeah. That was just the hellos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of.
Well, you know what?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
A lot of fantasy authors, spend a lot of time describing, ancient things in their stories, right? And only a few of them do it in a way that it actually feels ancient. And Tolkien really nails that bit.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And you feel like you're reading something from the ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a history book, yeah.
Now, Snorri Pupus Kubur, he's not a fan of Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens. They had to cut things so they could fit their stuff into the movies because they are so superior to Tolkien as writers, or so they think. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I feel like they're better than what we're going to get with Amazon, unfortunately, though.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that they felt like they couldn't convey some of the stuff on the screen, so they made up a few contrivances now and then.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I
and
think you're right.
some stuff had to be turned into spoken lines. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. You know,
Yeah.
Yes.
they would give out a line to Elrond or something that's pretty much just a description in the book and all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
I
like
thought it
me, you know. Hey.
Yeah. No, and I was going to say, I think it was also cute that Treebeard recognized that the poor hobbits were pretty bored, and so he brought them a little companion, Brigalad.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was so cute. He is as nearest a thing among us to a hasty int, so you ought to get on together. Goodbye. I thought that was so cute.
Aw.
It's like, let's go for a walk.
I found you a friend.
Exactly. Then they go off. I forget. How long did this actually last, this int moot?
I really,
Quite a
I want
while.
to say like at
Yes.
least half a day because they started in the morning and it ended at sunset, right? Or it just, I don't know. They stopped saying hello at sunset. I can't remember, but such a long time.
Yeah. And then when they decide that they are going to go, I remember going, holy shite, because it was, he was able to convey, unlike what they did in the movie, because I think you just can't put it onto screen, how friggin' terrifying it was when they started going. What was it? They were moving. Could it be that the trees of Fangorn were awake and the forest was rising, marching over the hills to war? There was a noise like wind in many branches, and that they kept growing and growing, and that these whole forests were just marching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of scary that the trees actually could move or attack or whatever. It's like, oh, that's kind of creepy. Because, you think of like the old, I hate to say the D word, the Disney cartoons with the creepy trees and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what it kind of reminds me of. I'm like, evil trees. So, yeah.
Can you imagine seeing that coming at you? A whole forest?
Oh, yeah. No, thank you. I'll bring a torch with me for protection.
Well, no, that's exactly what it was. And I think that's why it was so terrifying to read and so awe-inspiring.
Exactly.
You don't want to F with these guys. Saruman is sitting there not knowing what is about to happen to him. I think that's also pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the trees are coming and they are pissed.
Yes,
All of
was
it.
cheering. Yeah.
All of it happens off screen in the book.
Yeah, you don't really
You don't
get to
actually
see
see
it
it.
or hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just see the ints going for him.
But I do like that they showed it in the movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they probably showed it in the way it did happen. They rush out of the forest and just basically take him completely by surprise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very effective, though, that Tolkien leaves it to our imagination about how these trees were effing up.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
it's a little bit strange that they leave it out because that Tolkien, left it out because he does do chapters from Merry and Pippin's point of view anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's almost like there's a lost chapter in the book.
Interesting.
Yeah, they left it more of a mystery, and it's kind of one of those things like the Entwives. It's like, really wish you would have told us how you felt about this, but I think they did a good idea, I think they showed it in a good way in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Subhuman's here.
Yeah. Well, hello, Subhuman. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. We're talking about the trees effing up Isengard. this also brings an interesting point that we really don't see Saruman
Yeah.
until the aftermath of this. He's only talked about. We hear about what happens with him from Gandalf. We hear he's doing all these things, and we don't even see him getting effed up. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. They allude to him a lot, and I think it's because of the whole thing that happens with Gandalf. So you can be like, oh, is that? Oh, wait. To kind of add to that mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and perhaps that maybe authors need to listen to their characters or listen to their instincts a little bit better, that you don't always have to spell everything out and show everything necessarily, that just listen to where your characters are going and trust that it'll come across.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luffy's God said, in the Inns don't
And-
stop there. You have the forced appear at Helm's Deep. The Inns are really pissed.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
yes.
yes. it's like Rennie said, it kind of gives you that, when quote unquote Gandalf becomes the White, you were never quite sure who you were looking at.
Yeah.
Yes.
They alluded to the fact that he was Saruman. So you're sitting there going, oh, no,
Mhm.
stay away. Don't go near him. That's Saruman. And you're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay.
That's
Whew.
in the next chapter, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that when we get there. Yes. I'm looking up in his letters about the Saruman in the Two Towers. I'm trying to find some quotes. And the power of his voice. Well, there's just a lot of things about it. I don't know if he actually says why he doesn't appear so much in it, but that is very fascinating to me. That is very fascinating to me. He does say the reasons for his fall. Well, because he sucked. He got.
There you go. He was a jerk. No.
Tell us how you really feel, Teresa.
Well, you know what I mean. When someone like that does fall, and someone who's really good and knows better, their fall usually doesn't happen
That quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a series of bad decisions.
Yeah.
And there are usually a gazillion points and opportunities to turn away from that path. Like when sometimes yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I think he went past that point, like you said, with the Palantir. He thought he was even above Sauron with his scheming. He thought he could,
Overpower him, you think?
well, in his mind, he was working towards that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of thought so as well.
Yeah. Well, Tolkien says about to what Saruman succumbed. He says in his letter, the chief form this would take with them would be impatience, leading to the desire to force others to their own good ends, and so inevitably at last to mere desire to make their own wills effective by any means. To this evil Saruman succumbed. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee, a quote on today's society, isn't it?
Exactly. That doing these wrong things and saying I'm doing them for others and it's for the good and I'm going to take away their free will. How quickly it turns into no, I just want to do my will.
Also,
Yeah.
how very Anakin Skywalker.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. The
Yep.
same temptation.
Mhm.
Luffy as God says, isn't that because Saruman and Wormtongue escapes from Isengard and go to the Shire? That's why we don't see him under the siege. No, not quite.
Not yet. Yeah, I was going
We-
to say that's a little bit further.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
see him, we do see him after the siege, because it's that whole voice of Saruman where he starts to seduce them. And they escape to do the scaring of the Shire while they're finishing up the War of the Ring after
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Mhm.
And welcome, Xevious. I do see you there. Welcome. Thank you for being here at Miss Martin Muses. Gadfly Fiction says Saruman decided he ought to lead the world rather than guide it. He also looks for knowledge, science, for the sake of progress than for the sake of understanding. Yes.
Well said.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. Yet Tolkien also says that while these wizards were supernatural from a certain point of view and embodiments of the creator rather, he said that they had the possibility of a fall, of sin, if you will. So yeah, that is what happened. This is very good stuff. See, this is why I love Tolkien. You can just dig so deeply into any of these things, and I am so grateful that they did publish his letters so that we can also see his thinking. And if anyone wants to read about this, this is in letter 181 in his letters, and particularly about Saruman, page 237, if you have the edition.
And this is a book called Tolkien's Letters.
Yes, it's the Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, edited by Humphrey Carpenter. Yeah,
Nice.
and with Christopher Tolkien, with the assistance of Christopher Tolkien. It's also really good because it has an index, so you can find it. It's really all the letters that they've had on the subject of the Lord of the Rings and some general religion stuff, a few things about the war, but they withheld, for obvious reasons, his letters with his wife and all that, all the personal love letter stuff.
Is it still being published, Teresa?
It should be. I don't know what this edition is, but it's probably in Amazon. It is worth a read because you really get an explanation. Sometimes people are all, I don't know what the author wanted. You see that in Star Wars sometimes. Did George really want it? Well, Tolkien, he told us.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would get in arguments with people about some interpretations of the Lord of the Rings. They're like, well, where are you getting that from? I said, from Tolkien. It's like I would not presume to put my thoughts
Yeah, and
on
they backtrack and backtrack. You go, well, it wasn't in the movie.
It's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, because they didn't see. Yeah. Let me look this up. Okay, I'm looking in Amazon, the Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. Yes. You can just get it right here.
Sweet.
Where I live, you can get it tomorrow if you order it today and have the Amazon Prime. If you don't have it, buy it. It's worth it. And Steve, you would be horrified to know I have written all over it.
Travesty. That's a sin.
I disagree. Sort of Poopus says a good point. Get it before the Tolkien Society gets it banned. Yes. Yes. You can. They are also available online, but the way things are going right now, I think that it is safe to say get the hardback. Get it where you
get your physical entertainment,
you know
your physical media. Yeah.
You know what? I have over 600 fantasy books and shit. And over time, I always tend to realize that shit, I should have gotten the hardcover for this and that book. Because they last. They don't get damaged and all. And do yourselves a favor, if there's a book you really want to, get and, for rereading and all that stuff, get hardcovers.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty mad at myself that I I got rid of a lot of my original EU books from Star Wars.
Oh man.
Because after I read them, we're talking back in the 90s, we had half price books. Like, okay, I liked it. This is done. I'll go ahead and give it to
Yeah.
half price. Maybe someone can pick it up. And now I'm like, no.
Why did I do that?
Well, I didn't know
Yeah.
that they'd come and put stupid Legends banners on it and all that. If I could have seen into the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how are you supposed to know? I've done similar things, so I totally understand.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like I wish I had told myself not to do that, but it's too late.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got some messages here in the private chat. So, yay. Thank you, everyone, for your insight on all of these. And there's just so much here. We only got through 2 chapters today, but I think it's definitely worth it. And the way I'm looking for the next time we have our discussion, which will likely be in 2 weeks, because I have a commitment for next week, is the White Rider, and then we go to Rohan. I think that those actually go together very well.
I love those chapters. I really do.
Yes, they're loads of fun.
Yeah.
It says here, the books I really love, Gadfly Fiction rather, says the books I really love, I get 2 copies of, 1 hardcover and 1 paperback that I can mark up and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty smart. Expensive, but smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, eBay. I mean, I've been buying a lot of. Well, I have all of the Star Wars EU books now in paperback. Because I've been actively collecting for the last 3 years. Because when I said I wouldn't support Disney and support the EU, I actually did it. So now I have all of it. But I've been buying some hardcovers as well, and the hardcovers I bought of the Star Wars books that I found on eBay they've been like $3 or $4 each, and they look brand new.
Mm-hmm.
See, here for us, like, well, at least if you're in Texas, Half Price Books is still a pretty decent business you can go to find older stuff, and when they have sales, you can get a lot for pretty good discount, and you don't have to wait for it to arrive, which is nice. But at the same time, it's like, oh, do I really feel like leaving the house? I think like this whole pandemic has made us all a little lazy. So
yeah. Well, now that you mention that, I am actually going to be going over to Half Price. I periodically go to various ones just to see if there's any new content that people have dropped off. But also I go there for some of the really good books that I'm reading. Like right now, I'm reading the Magician books. I'm reading the Raymond Feist books. And I have plowed through Silverthorn, the book after Magician. So I need to get the next one. So I'll probably be going to Half Price to see if they have it there.
Well, you know what though?
Nice.
Going to stores like that, in thrift stores and what have you, is pretty damn fun. Because it's like a little treasure hunt, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but you can like get lost there and be like, how did 3 hours pass already? Oh my gosh. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, but so what? Those are 3 hours well spent, and you can get all kinds of cool stuff, and it's like a little treasure hunt. So if I had more thrift stores around where I live, I would go there once a week, make like a day of it.
There's a really huge one in Dallas, like huge. Sorry, editorial.
That's fine. It makes it hard because you get in there and then you go, you may be going in to look for Star Wars, and then like a used bookstore, and then you start finding all these other treasures, and it's like, I don't know if my pocketbook can stand this.
Or you have your arms full and you're like, well, how did this happen?
Has that ever happened to you, Torio?
Yes,
No.
on numerous occasions. The guy at the front desk was like, "Do you want help taking all this out to your car?"
Because I remember getting pictures of stuff you bought at a
Uh-huh.
thrift store once, and that was a pile,
And yes,
proper
they
pile,
had
and
to
I was like,
find
"This is awesome."
the biggest box they could find so I could carry it out.
Oh wow.
Oh.
No lie. It was bad. So I try to limit my excursions because I'm very bad when I get in there because I read so many different genres that
Hmm.
if I go in specifically looking for something, then I find the other genre that I find and people have dropped off books. It's like, well,
No, I think that's the best. That's the best kind of stuff. Joaquin Stark says Silverthorn was the first book I read in English. Wow.
Oh wow.
ooh, cool.
Sweet.
Silverthorn is awesome, but you should read the first one first, of course.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, maybe he
but
read it in his native language.
yeah, it's yeah, that was around the time I started reading books in English too. I had the first three Feist books in Norwegian, but they started splitting them up into several volumes,
Oh.
and it was like $1 per page almost.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
no, not that much. Um, yeah, the Wheel of Time books they chopped into three books, and
Oh
each
wow.
part was like I guess $35.
Hey.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, that's insane. When I could get it in English for 20, the whole
Yeah.
damn thing.
Yeah.
Well,
So I just screw this. Translations are
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah,
yeah.
this is a little off the track, but that's what they're starting to do with anime, if you notice, because people are really getting into anime. And I'm a big Bleach fan, and you were waiting for the next season to come out on, Blu-ray. They got smart, and
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't exactly call it smart, but they halved up the seasons.
Uh-huh.
So
So that
you'd have to buy season, 6 part 1 and then season
Mm.
6 part 2,
yeah.
which cost you double the amount whereas they were doing full seasons.
Yeah, the bastards.
I mean, it's smart, but at the same time, yeah, it's definitely a greed thing, unfortunately. But they know people will pay
Yeah.
it. You know.
Yeah. Supply and demand. Joaquin, if you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind sharing what your first language is, you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but I'm just curious here to see which ones it was. Now, I do recall, Steve, when I was living in Alsace, they would have an English section of
Hmm.
books in English because I think there were enough of us around. They were very, very expensive, though. I'd be like, dang. But they didn't split them up, but they were just, you'd get a paperback for like what, $15. And I usually didn't do it,
It's cute.
except I was in the middle of one series. And I was like, I just can't. So I did. I went ahead and I paid it. But yeah, they do tend to mark up a lot of those. Well, I guess
Oh, it
I
said
do.
Swedish.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, hey, there we are.
Yeah. Nice.
Hmm.
Similar, but different, right, Stieg? Aren't they your neighbors?
Well, they're different.
But they're
I
from
know
the
there's a
same
little
language
rivalry.
family. Yeah.
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 No,
Uh, boy. Berserk. Okay. Bruce says, half price books is what I want to buy into if I ever win the lottery. Yeah, that would be fun. Oh,
Yeah.
dot. Hey, we welcome everyone here on Miss Martin Music.
Yeah.
Study here on Miss Martin Music. And remember, I don't know which Viking shagged my ancestor. It could have been from Iceland. It could have been from Norway, Sweden, Denmark.
no. If it was from Denmark, It probably was from Denmark or Norway, because if it was from someone from Sweden, you'd be retarded, I guess.
Oh no.
I'm trying to be nice here. Well,
I think it's time for that disclaimer, Teresa. No.
Yeah, the views of the guests don't necessarily. Well, but for crying out loud, it was like in 900 AD. There was plenty of time to get some DNA going. Yeah, my people were the ones that ended up in not Norway, sorry, rather Normandy. They were the Vikings that went there and then ended up over in England. That's how I ended up not just pasty white, but pasty white and Anglo. So, okay. Oh, okay. He's laughing. Okay. He's laughing. Good. I'm like, please laugh. Please laugh. Please.
He's laughing, but his eyes aren't.
Oh no.
No, technically, look, his eyes are. Look at the emoji. Okay. Gosh.
Do you know how you sink a Swedish submarine?
How?
You dive down and knock on the door.
Oh.
Oh boy.
That's not even possible because the pressure from the water. Teresa the Viking, yes. Well, and please understand, it is a bit of a joke, Salty Knife Aim, because it goes along with what that idiot was saying to Stieg, where he was claiming he could call himself a Viking because he had read up some stuff. The fact of the matter is, the Viking blood in me is about what Elizabeth Warren's Native American blood is.
Oh wow.
That obviously most of my DNA is coming from England and all that. It's mainly through name that I was able to trace some of the likelihood about where it all ended up mingling. But it definitely, my DNA is mostly in England and Wales, perhaps a little bit in Ireland. Though in our family, my dad always says, "Yay, look, we've got some Irish." And he never mentions the English. It's like, well, did you see all the 85, 95% English? He's like, yeah, look at all the Irish we have. Yeah, because we spent a lot of our lives in Ireland. And so, yeah, Viking isn't something you are, it's something you do. Well, yeah.
I mean, well, in general, and this goes for all countries, if you're, your ancestors are German and you've grown up in Iceland, right? Your family's lived in Iceland for 200 years. You're not really German, are you?
No. It's an American thing, Steve, because we all want to be like, oh, look, I'm this, because that's more fun than being.
It's almost like LARPing.
Oh my.
Though I will defend it in the situation where you have a lot of people, like in my area, of German and Irish descent, where it's like their grandparents were Irish. So it like really is literally part of the the culture. And where they settle, they literally do have Irish pubs and all that because they came over around the 1930s, 1940s, and we're like, I want an Irish pub. But I always use this as an example. Like if I tried to go around and say, I'm Norwegian, I'm Icelandic, and people would be like, what the
There's a bunch of people in the US that have decided to use Norse mythology as a religion as well, which is very fun to watch because they don't even pronounce the name of the gods right.
Yes.
Oh no.
Well, because we all pronounce them the anglicized versions.
Yes.
The real versions, I don't even try to say them, but
I was gonna say the inflection, like when you say it, Steve, compared to the way we say it, is like I don't know if I can get my tongue to even do that, okay?
Whoa,
Oh,
no.
man.
Well, that got dirty. Yeah, the phonemes and stuff. Well, but not just
Teresa,
that.
where did your mind go? I'm talking about pronunciation, dear.
I know. I'm sorry.
No,
I
it
have
was
bad
me.
influences.
I take
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I
blame.
mean, she was talking about pronunciations, which means you're not supposed to pronounce anything with a mouthful.
Oh
Oh
God.
no.
Okay. It sort of Poopa says those fake pagans make me Thor. Yeah, Saxon.
But
Yeah, Elaine. Nerd cookies. Yeah, her family's from Cary, and her grandparents. Bruce says, I looked at the Norse cult in San Antonio. It was really hard to want to go to church next to Alejandro and have all the people not venerate properly.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty.
well, you know what I think it is when it comes to Americans and tracing heritage? It's we're such a young country,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot for us to hold on to as
Mm.
roots. We can be proud of our forefathers and for what they stood up for and
Yeah.
how we became the country we are and our advantages, but we're lacking in the touch tones of our ancestry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a
It-
good way to say that because America is basically full of immigrants. Like
yeah.
we're all stemmed from immigrants, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and where we live really shapes us. Like, I do not really have Irish blood, or my Irish blood goes way, 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 way back. But because I spent so much of my formative years in Ireland, if I did have a culture besides being American, it would be that. I mean, I go back there. I know the language, I know the
Mm,
culture, and
Mm-hmm.
and like Cork is my home. It's
nice.
where I was. Yeah, but
Yeah.
could you say that I'm Irish? No. Could you say that I have Irish blood? No. It's where our formative years are, and we have many things that make our shared culture. For example, I was just talking earlier about the culture that we have in among practicing Catholics, especially where there's a high Hispanic, that Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and almost the whole
Mm,
friggin' month of November, there's a shared heritage, a shared culture there that
yeah.
is not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily American, but it's still part of who we are in our institutions around us, I guess, if that's the right word.
Yeah, that
Here's
makes
a
sense.
here's a
Yes.
question though. All that heritage appropriation almost, right? Where people who 300 years ago, someone from Norway, was my ancestor, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, I am a Viking. All that stuff, and that happened uh, decades ago. When that started. Do you think that was
Mm-hmm.
ground zero for the pronoun stuff?
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a very interesting
Yes.
question. Very
Because
intriguing, sir.
it's kind of the same though, because they keep going, yeah, I'm a part Viking and part this and that, and I'm like, that's what the pronouns people are doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They take it
Yes.
to a ridiculous extreme though, because I literally saw someone claim, and the person believed it too, that she was a lesbian space river nymph, because
Oh
Mm,
that's
my gosh.
what the person felt like. So then it must be
hmm.
so.
Yeah.
I don't know the to me you are your home. Have you gone anywhere and you've traveled there and it feels like home for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's more of you than your ancestry or anything else.
Hmm.
That you go to different places, and it's almost like deja vu. That
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's like this is home. This feels like home to me.
Yes.
You know what? It's like people today
Mhm.
just can't be themselves. They can't just be just themselves. They have
You
to
think they're
have.
looking for significance?
It's like they're. It's like they've confused personality with creating a character for a role playing game.
Ooh.
I identify as a level 14 elf ranger.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a
Yeah.
bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good
And they
point.
do it for their children too,
Yeah.
because they do the blogs and my kid's transitioning because the kid reached for a doll once. You know,
Yeah.
That's a very scary thought.
Hey.
yeah.
Yeah. They're using their children like they're using dolls. Um yeah, which is not okay. What is oh, I wanted to point this out. Shane Nolan does say I you, meaning me, say feck like an Irish woman, you're adopted, or vice versa. That's
Aw,
from a certified Irish person. Yeah.
Aw.
that's
Well,
cute.
well, in fact,
You,
yeah, that is actually something we used to do, but I prefer to say that here rather than the one that rhymes with duck because people don't always necessarily know I'm actually saying the bad word when I do that.
Sultan Al Fahim in the chat says being themselves is boring to them. I'll agree with that, but I'll add maybe it's also because they're afraid they're boring to others.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So all the pronouns and all the titles they give themselves and stuff is like a shield.
Ah,
Look,
But
I'm fun. I'm actually a river nymph.
yeah,
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 but everybody is so unique that if they just let themselves be themselves, there's always something you can find interesting about people.
Yeah, and if you get someone to like you based on something you are not, eventually it's going to backfire. It's
hmm
better to have people like you for who you are, right?
yeah.
Hey, Jack Lumen.
Yeah, I was going to say Jack Lemon makes a good point. He said, didn't Jordan Peterson say that some identity politics is just a form of cosplay? Yeah, exactly. It might be. I don't know if that's exactly it, but for sure.
I
Yeah.
think the pronoun people with all the gender fluids and all the made up you know, sexualities and stuff. I think it's just what back in the 90s we had the goths, and now we have this.
hmm
It's young people trying to be different. You know.
And
Yeah.
that's always been the way of the culture because every generation has a breakout. They have to expand their wings, shall we say, and experiment. It's like, I do not want to be my parents.
Exactly.
Therefore,
Yeah.
I'm going to shock the heck out of them.
Exactly. Some people have also said that because we see it's such a predominance among young teenage girls, is that often you're so awkward. We've all know this. You hate your body so much when you are a teenager that trying to maybe seek something else to make you feel better, such as, oh, I'm a boy, because we all
But
know what happens when you turn about 12. You start to menstruate, you feel fat all the time, whether you're fat or not. You're looking all weird in the mirror, your arms and your legs and your toes and all this stuff. And that it can also even be perhaps a part of self-loathing. Yeah. For those of you that are coming on in, yes, we do tend to we talk about the two towers, and then the last 20 minutes or so we let out all our off-topic stuff that's burning within us. So this is the off-topic time. But yes, we did talk about chapters 3 and 4 of the Two Towers earlier. So please, if you are interested in that, be sure to go ahead and listen to the replay. Hello, Jock Nerdy. Speaking of which, you're one of the people I'm probably talking about. Yeah, this is off-topic time where we're just kind of letting it all out. Though it does kind of fit in a little bit with the Lord of the Rings because there is so much within the story that is just a jumpstart for intellectual stuff, culture, things about having your own mythology. Because Tolkien wanted to create his own mythology for an English thing, maybe for the modern times. And I think it was Jack Lehman, I forget who did it. I want to give credit where credit's due. That in America, we have tried to create our own culture through some of our stories, like Rip Van Winkle. Here it is. Yes, the Rip Van Winkle and the Legend of Sleepy Hollow want to be U.S. folklore. Yes, exactly. That there were many people that did attempt to do that, and one could argue that's what we did with Star Wars, which is why I think it's so insidious what they're doing by trying to destroy Star Wars, by trying to destroy our heroes, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and they did destroy Princess Leia. A lot of people overlook it because they thought that they were making her all powerful and I am woman, hear me roar, but it's like that's not Princess Leia.
But also we do have a rich heritage. If you go back into the folklore for America, you have like Johnny Appleseed, you have Paul Bunyan, and people tend to forget that there is a rich heritage of that if they go back and look at some of our American writers. You know, like Robert Frost. Robert Frost was a master of words. If you really enjoy poetry, his use of words is amazing to bring a picture into your mind.
Yeah, exactly. And Emily Dickinson's another example as well. Jock Lumen says, well, I had also heard that J.R. Tolkien intended his books to be new British folklore as well. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, hello there, Stephen Murray. Welcome. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. We are on miscellaneous off-topic time at the end of our Tolkien discussion. Let's see, shoulder shrug is all I can do. Yeah, no, those are all very good points. It's interesting, the psychology of we are more connected than we've ever been in modern times through our technology, and we are feeling more alone and more without an identity than ever before.
Want to hear something disturbing?
Sure.
Back when we grew up, right? People had diaries, and if you read someone's diary, that was a big no-no. You'd get yelled at, right? Nowadays, if you don't read people's diaries, which are tweets and posts and blogs, people lose their mind. So we've gone from don't read my personal stuff to you're evil if you don't read my personal stuff.
Yeah. You don't care about your personal sex life, crushes, desires, dreams.
I mean, people ranting in cars. They're ranting stuff that people used to put in diaries.
Well, also, I think why they feel so alone is you're not having the face-to-face communication. You know, you got together with your friends and you had a good time. You'd play video games or you'd watch a movie and you'd be sitting there having popcorn and Coke or whatever you were doing. And then you'd get finished with the movie and everybody was either excited, they didn't like it, and you had all the face-to-face communication. And you felt oneness with your friends. Now, I'm very blessed because the people I do talk to, like you people on the streams and stuff, I feel extremely close to. But the majority of people, I think, just put stuff out there, and that's why they feel alone, because they miss that. They're missing that up close communication, and they don't even realize that.
Yeah.
And then they get anxiety and depression.
Yeah. Because we're doing everything antithetical to what humans are
Yeah,
supposed to do. We're
because
social creatures.
they haven't been
Mhm.
taught to deal with people and or to deal with setbacks because of the participation trophy thing.
Mhm.
And they basically haven't learned to live life.
Yeah. And they
And
haven't
And,
learned how to deal constructively with conflict. Like you can have conflict. It's not a
no,
bad thing. But they don't
no.
know how to deal with it, so they just want to shut it down.
yeah, you can tell they can't deal with it because they're dealing with it as a toddler would with tantrums.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scream till everything gets handed to me. Right?
But also, I think a lot of it is you have to know yourself and like yourself for who you are. And a lot of these people haven't really taken the time. Aloneness is not a bad thing, but it seems like these people can't go 5 minutes without being on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, on here, on there. And alone time gives you time for introspect and knowing who you are and what you are and what's important to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Precisely. Well, and what's also been really hard during these past 2 years is if you did have some one-on-one human interaction, that was all taken away from you. I mean, you couldn't go to church, you couldn't have your parade, we couldn't have our sports, we couldn't have our concerts, we couldn't have theater, we couldn't go to the cinema. Everything that was left that we had for real human social interaction was taken away from us. And it's had a terrible toll on children. You see it with little children. Little children need to see people's faces. And we're already starting to see signs of like developmental issues. And the fact that they weren't allowed to play properly together, that also, made a role. So I say right now, if you want to do some real rebellion, get outside, play a sport, go to a beer garden. I don't know. It's still October.
Go trick or treating.
Yes, go trick or treating. I mean, I actually usually despise it with every fiber of my being, but I am making a point of going out and making sure that I hand out candy to kids because we need it. And those darn kids need it. They need sugar. No. But no, it's the fun of it and it's the magic of it. And I guess it all depends on where you're living too. Where I'm living right now, things are pretty much back to normal because enough people have said, F you, we're not going to do it. So we've had like fall festivals and all those fun, weird, wild things like pet blessings and stuff. Speaking of pets, was that your pet meowing? It wasn't
Probably.
Steve. Yeah, later for you. Okay, well, we're wrapping up our miscellaneous thing. I want to thank everyone who came into our chat today. You guys are the best chat out there. I will just say that right now. I love the way you all interact. I love the way that you have so much knowledge and participate in it with us. And I always learn something from you all. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'm sorry, Subhuman. Yes, I should have made it clear. Passing out candy. I'm a little old to go trick or treating. Yes. what I'll do is I'll go over to my sister's house because I live in a gated community, so we don't have trick or treaters. But I'm going to go out of my way to have that interaction. And I did the same last year. I got out on my bike and just started riding around and talking with people and stuff, people in the neighborhood while they were all trick or treating. Because I'm like, damned if I'm just going to be sitting in here because some stupid Egypt told me to. But yes, again, I was just actually making out with all of the chat in the sense of you all are amazing, great participation, and you're always here. I plan for the next one to be in 2 weeks. It will be in 2 weeks, which I believe is the 13th. I do have a commitment for next Saturday. And unless something comes up, and I will let you all know. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, please follow me on Twitter, or just keep your eyeballs open here on YouTube. Before we leave, I want to give a chance for my panel to do a bit of an outro. And yay, I held off long enough to be ready. I was like, damn it, Rick, get in here.
I know. I'm so
Rennie's
sorry, you
back.
guys.
Yay.
It's that call I was expecting about my vehicle, so I apologize, but it was kind of important. But I'm glad I was able to catch you guys. I'm like, oh, I hope they're still on.
Yeah, you are. I mean, I'm so happy too because I'm like, damn it, woman.
I know.
Like,
It's like,
You have a
bad
stream coming up that you want to plug. So go ahead. I'm going to let you go first, Princess Rennie. What's going on?
well, today, I should be, well, situation providing should be on Mr. Brown Alliance at 4 p.m. Central talking. Please don't judge me, but for the Halloween special, they've decided to review The Last Jedi. And I don't know why I signed up for this, but I may be consuming plenty of alcohol to help me with the pain because I just don't know how I'm going to make it otherwise. So they have Ruin Johnson, which is the Ryan Johnson parody account on Twitter. He's freaking hilarious. He's going to be on and he's going to be presenting the show. So that should be a lot of fun if you guys want to come and check it out. But if you're not into masochism, I totally understand.
Okay, you heard it here first. And Rennie, please feel free to put the link to that in the chat, or if Keck has it, my mod with the most. Thank you, I appreciate that. Lady Toriel, what's going on?
Well, since I've been back to work, I haven't been able to put out any videos, but if you want to check out some of my older videos, it's Lady Toriel. It's all fun, unless I have these lovely people on and we do a discussion where then the intellectual side comes out with all these great and wonderful people. I love the chat here, and these people are the best. You guys are wonderful. You have great insight into Lord of the Rings, and this just makes it a lot of fun. You can also find me on Twitter. I post off and on, depending. So you can catch me in both places.
She posts pictures of women with clothes on, off and on.
Scantily clad women.
That's right. I'm a very toxic female, and I'm damn proud of it.
Yeah.
Okay? Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Steve, what can you tell us?
Well, nothing. I don't think I'm doing anything this weekend, or I don't think there's any plans until Thursday with the coffee chat with Alora. Thursdays and Fridays are usually when I do stuff. I am on Twitter though, because I just look at the pictures tutorial posts. That's why I'm there. And, I do have a tiny YouTube channel that everyone seems to care more about than I do. I just
with
put
the
up
top 5 videos.
Yay!
Yeah, and put up those fun old commercials that are probably considered offensive now, and retro stuff like that.
And they're great. They're great. And he also has his merch.
Yep.
that you guys need to check out.
The wind did it.
Yeah,
Woo.
I've sold 4 shirts in a year, and 2 out of 4 customers got COVID the day after.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Buy a
I'm not even
t-shirt from
kidding.
Stig and get COVID.
I'm not
Yeah.
even kidding. The people got sick after they're like, oh look, I got my shirt. Next day, I have COVID.
I blame
I'm
the
like,
postal carrier.
Yes, there you go.
Yes. I just can't say too much more about any of that. All right.
oh, and Bruce Lombardo says I have to put up more top 5 videos. Well, I put in order to not having to do them anymore. I said I'd do a new one every 50 subs, and those bastards keep subbing. So now I'm actually, I think I was 7 subs away from having to do one now, because I'm almost at 600.
You heard it, people.
Yeah, go
7
sub to him.
subs.
Make him do a top 5. It should be fun. It should be fun. I just love it that he does minimal effort and gets all these subs.
I know,
Yes.
it's amazing. I'm still sitting at like 250, but oh well.
It's ridiculous because
Mm.
99% of the time where I'm on a stream and I plug your stuff, I'll plug the channels of the people I'm that are going to be on with.
Mhm.
Because I really don't care about. I'm not a YouTuber. I just on YouTube talking to YouTubers, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's true.
So
But
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, be sure
sub
to
to
sub.
this channel.
Yeah.
They are amazing. Teresa is an amazing lady. Rennie is great.
Aw,
She's
thank you.
wonderful. Great sense of humor. Stig is just Stig. You take him, you leave him, and that's just him. That's the guy from Norway. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Keck. Thank you, Keck,
Aw,
putting in
thank
some.
you.
Yes, thank you. Keck is a great mod. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And you can find on OG's channel at 11 o'clock Central for the coffee chat, and then 7 o'clock Central on Jay Cheno's channel for the Cringe Factory. That's where you can find Stig usually.
Yes.
It's a
And
good.
everybody sub to everybody else in the chat. Check out if they have a YouTube channel, just go and check it out, because some of these people put in a lot of time and hard effort into what material they're trying to get out there.
Yeah.
And just show your appreciation, just acknowledge it, because people like to have fun. That's why I do my channel. I just try to bring a smile to you when you look at mine. Mine are not intellectual. Mine are whatever I feel like at the time. But I always try to bring a smile to your face. So,
And that's the important thing, in my humble opinion. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you can just find me around loads of places. I don't think I have anything scheduled up. Well, next Saturday is first Saturday. That's usually when I am on with the Nerd Father, and his first Saturday Faith and Fantasy stream. And that's when Lady Gravemaster is usually on too. It's a little bit up in the air though, so that's why I'm not sure if we're going to do 2 towers. I will let you all know. Yes, Subhuman says he has a channel too. Yes, please. I want to thank everyone who came into our chat today. We had loads of people. I think I've already done a little bit of a rundown, and if I did not mention you, I love y'all. Y'all are great. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Have a great day. And be certain to not piss off an ent.